Welcome, guys, to another episode of Motivation Critics. Welcome. This week, we are going to talk about the single parents. Whether you're a single dad, single mom, I know over the weeks we have talked about everything else, regardless or around, other than this particular issue, which is basically the backbone of why there's so many problems out there. Now, if you've taken offense to that, then I guess that's a good and a bad thing. However, the reason why this week is single parent edition is because there's some stigma behind it. There are some areas where we can pull in some stability, and this is always a way as a community outreach. So, when this show is aired, you can share your comments live on the platform, or you can share your comments via Marika Martse or Marika Speaks on Facebook. We'll hold some commenting on it regarding your thoughts. Now, to start off, we want to thank Cara Voice Radio for having us. I know the views that we share on the program may not be entirely of the radio station, but we do still thank you for the support as well as Elevate Entrepreneur. Moving on from that, we're here to dissect and break down the stigma over single parenting. Whether you're a dad, because there are a lot of dads out here that are single parents and they're silently suffering. I know of one guy, he's not locally, but I know of one guy who has four kids to take care of because of whatever other personal circumstance that brought him to commandeer or to take care of those kids. What are we doing when it comes to single parenting? Are we magnifying the fact that the person is a single parent and that they are at the mercy of others? Or are we trying to help them see what their strengths are and capitalizing on those as a person, as an individual, so that they can be a positive example for the little ones coming after them? Now, I know as a youth activist, it is not easy to encourage younger folks who are bent on their ways or are set in their ways regarding what they think, based on how they've been treated in past times, or based on how people react to them when they see them in a particular appearance. And this is oftentimes this is it, basically, in society today. Now, being from a local a Caribbean island really sets it home when it comes to dealing with certain issues and seeing really what a single parent is and how small communities are separated because of their emotional displeasure or the attitudes, for lack of a better term. And what I find is that most single parents that you find are too afraid to say that they are making it on their own. I for one am not going to stay silent on that. I am a single parent of two boys, and when you really break that down as to what a single parent is, it is more than when you go to fill out an application form for anything within your island and they ask, are you single, married, or divorced? It doesn't ask you, oh, do you live in a home with yourself with more than one child? It really doesn't ask you that, right? And I feel that when people fill out application forms, they really want to say more, I need help, rather than saying I'm a single parent. When you see someone say that they're a single parent on their form, should you not inquire more? Is there any additional resources that we can provide to assist you along your single parent journey? I, for one, that will be one of my questions when it comes to some of the other launches that you will see us do under MMI, called Marika Martse. Now, what a single parent is today is an individual, whether it man or woman, mainly it's women, from any age, because we're seeing that persons are becoming single parents even younger. From the onset of stepping out of high school, from the onset of stepping out of what we call secondary school, which is the same thing here in Barbados. And we're seeing that there's a lot of stigma behind it. as if they should be more focused on work rather than what they're craving, which is love, right? So what we find is that a lot of parents are very frustrated with raising kids alone, and so with not enough care and love out there for that child, or to that child, in that child's perspective, the child goes out there and looks for love in all the wrong places. I myself, as an adult, growing adult, did not understand that specifically that is what I was doing time after time, time after time. Because when I was younger, it was more just focused on work. I simply was just focused on work and said, well, you know what, when I get 18, that will be my adult time. But I literally was focused on work and passing on my subjects and being the best in what I can do from a mental perspective. And that would be my advice to all the younger ones. No, you don't want to be focused on work all the time. There are some limes that are going on Fridays and Saturdays, and we got picnics and stuff. But you know the company that would basically corrupt your character. You basically know that Susie, Pamela, and Natasha, all of them crazy. It does not hurt to have one crazy down for you friend that you know basically would not get you into a whole heap of trouble or lure you down a path so somebody basically could sabotage your life. Because I'm finding a lot of the younger ones are getting into sabotaging each other and thinking that it's a joy. It is not. It is not. All of this is wrapped up in the stigma of a single parent. And as a single parent, a lot of persons are feeling very limited in their reach out to their own children. It's almost as if you're out there saving other people's children while your child is basically going down a dark tunnel. This is the reality of the single parent globally. A lot of persons are not speaking out. A lot of persons are being very silent. Woe is me. It will be a better day. Trust God. This is the epitome of it. Trust God, yes, but do some sort of work. I, for one, as a single parent, don't actually take shame into consideration. When you know that you have to ask for help, when you know that you have to ask for a helping hand from someone that you know will not give you a positive response, not that they would not give you stuff, but that they would say something behind it like, oh, I had to give her 2 cans of tuna and a pack of biscuit. It doesn't matter. You have to take your pride out of your pocket and flush it, and answer what is you need to answer for you and the child. Not only for the child, because I'm knowing of, I'm being aware of, and going through a process, or went through a process where I would have asked for stuff and it would have only been for my kids. This is basically not the case going forward. And as a working full-time entrepreneur, it is up and down as an entrepreneur, but it is in a case where you represent yourself properly if you're going to ask for anything from anyone. And for the persons who are basically criticizing persons who are asking for help, don't do it. One gentleman, I usually go, when I go to the supermarket and stuff, I usually go to one of the bigger ones that would have all the stuff I want at a reasonable cost. And I would find that there would be a lot of persons in the car park, because this is where homeless people hang out, in car parks that are filled with cars, that they know when people come out, they can come out with change in the hand, and you can be able to ask for a quarter or a dollar that basically can add up to like 10, 20, $100 because you ask 100 people. Do not think about the hundreds of people that they've asked for a quarter or a dollar when you're about to give them your dollar. What I've learned over the time under my single parenting and under living a life where wanting to serve God and serving God and wanting to be my best, is that when you give someone something and you don't give them it with a good mind, or you really don't want to give them, as soon as they get it, it is gone. That specific money, as soon as they get it, it is gone. You do not want to be giving people things with bad minds and then saying, well, I helped Tom Bob down the road, I give you $2. No one asked you if you gave Tom Bob $2. It's highly unlikely somebody's going to ask you about what goodwill you've done for the day. People jokingly ask you that as you go along your daily living. I've seen persons make a joke, oh, that must be your good deed for the day. No, it hasn't. It isn't. And what you really find is that the persons that are angry and frustrated and are introverted, as people like to say, introverted people are people that basically want to socialize but don't want to be hurt or have been hurt in the past and don't wish to socialize with people that they know for sure attitudes are not correct. So we have to work on our attitude as single parents. Sometimes it gets hot, sometimes it gets miserable. And for women, it's something is simple things as much as you could be on your menstrual cycle and don't have the necessities that you need to have to carry you through that time. This is the single parent reality. Being a dad is, I can't say much more easier, because a dad would fit a challenge where he is saying, well, he's not a mom, so he doesn't have that direct connection, or he doesn't have that direct knowledge where he's gonna always know, well, when the child cry this way, it must he want this, or when the child do this, it must he want that. There are a lot of things that men overlook with children because they don't have a direct bond. But there's some men, once they pay attention, create that bond. Is like a mold. They create a bond with their kids that, you know what, when I know she does this, she gives me this signal, I know what this is. And as a society, we have to move away from the stigma where when we hear single parent, oh, that's the norm. We fall into a category where we say, well, that's a common thing now. Rather than asking, as a single parent, how are you managing? How are you managing as that single parent? How are you managing as a person who has to track up and down with more than 2 kids? Who has to track up and down with more than 1 kid? How is it easy for you to fill up on fuel with the vehicle that you have? How is it easy? How much easier is it for you to buy groceries or to get groceries at a cheaper cost? What are your kids allergic to? Is it a case where grocery lists are all over the place because many kids are allergic, or more than one child is allergic to certain stuff, can't use this, can't use that? And within the stigma also ties in the daycares as well within the island of Barbados, because I find that a lot of them, from my experience, when my kids were in daycare, they the allergic section was filled out, and sometimes, and more than on more than one occasion, 3 I would count actually, that persons would have given them things that basically were fatal to their allergic reaction or allergic base or system area. And it was like, Beverly, you ain't hear he tell you that the child allergic to X, Y, and Z. There are certain allergic reactions that do cause fatal responses. One factor is cheese. This is becoming a very common food that causes allergic reaction. They're discouraging it for asthma, and I'm seeing way more and more as time goes on, because everything is more going into an artificial base rather than it being a real food that you're consuming. Sometimes you could even be consuming a particle of cardboard and you do not know. They're making jokes and stuff in regards to the Dorito ads and Cheeto ads and stuff, but there's literally people, black people per se, because the white people weren't gonna cry out as much as blacks like authenticity. If it's something that you are trying to figure out when it comes to blacks like authenticity, they like realness. And so with I've seen so much other persons that are uncolored, going into science and going into physics, and there are some black people that do like chemistry and physics as well and want to learn stuff, but they want to learn the real stuff. It has to be real. Okay, so we've just seen all these commercials with the Cheetos and the Doritos being set afire, and the way they're burning is what you're watching, rather than the fact that it's burning is like the way that the fire is flaming. It should basically light and die down if it's not that serious, but it lights and continues and flames up. And we have to really watch what we're consuming. So with these things, you're seeing more organic and health products. Keto diets are coming up, organic teas, detox teas are coming up, CBD teas, hemp infused stuff. These things are basically from the land. And what I've found, such as people reference to the Bible, is that things of the land that God would have created are medicinal and will be used to create an antidote for sickness. And there will be people that will try to stop that because they do not want the things of the land that God would have created to be glorified. They do not want God to be glorified in anything. And what I would say to that is, when you try to stop one plan, God is the general over every principality and power, and it will succeed regardless of if that person is taken. God allows that person to be taken. If God allows that person to be taken and to go home from this earth, then there will be another person that will supersede that person, and that plan will be established according to the law and the purpose that God has for that specific thing. Moving on, really, in terms of addressing stability over stigma, because I'm finding that for stability is more of creating youth activists and single parent programs, and I'm finding that people are writing the 2020 clear vision slogans and goals for 2020, but what are you really doing? Are you misleading people? Are you creating programs that are just hashing money and misleading persons? I know there's some investor organizations that they will not pour into nonprofits, because for nonprofits it's harder basically for you to substantiate. It's harder for you to substantiate basically what a nonprofit will do with all the funds that you give it, especially if you are giving it 20,000 US or 10,000 US. You're wondering, like, what will they do? Does this all go into advertising and marketing? For me, being in marketing and the public relations and marketing, where I handle social media pages, businesses, platforms, and business operations, I help run smoother, and I don't know, the whole artist and public relations side. I would say that in terms of marketing, it does take that much funds to flesh out a marketing campaign that is effective, that's done with quality, that's done with excellence. And in terms of that, it does need equipment, furniture, people, volunteers. And people these days don't want to be volunteered. They want to be hired. They want to be stipend. They want to be paid because they too need to eat. And what really forces a person really into that single parent category is a fact of survival. They're not surviving, so they go with this other person. I mean, men do it these days too. They're not subjecting themselves to a gender. They're saying, you know, I have to survive. I will do this. I will strip. I will go with this person because they have money. And then, oops, all of a sudden, that person becomes pregnant and is like, oh my God, Susie. Oh my God, Jimbo. I really didn't want to do this with he, or I really didn't want to do this with her. But it happened. And this is the reality. And two of them basically know that they're not compatible. It was just, you're just going along for the ride of survival. And what we miss is that going along for the ride of survival means that there's some consequences for things that you go into that you had no right going into. Right? A lot of us want to take our times, but when it gets too hard, then we relapse and we regress and we go back into stuff. But in terms of stability, should there have been, or should there be programs that would stabilize our mental state, our mental thoughts, our operation of daily life, then we would be able to effectively place ourselves in that position, align ourselves in a place where we don't have to technically worry but we would trust the process and know that daily we can eat. One set program is in regards to MMI, which is I'm a youth activist organization as well. Just would have released my book Why You Matter for younger kids from as long as a child can read. I had it from 8 years old and up, but I'm noticing that kids are born in advance and from 6 years, 5 years, they can read, and once they're able to read and understand the life concept of going to different levels. You go to go to preschool, you go to primary school, you go to high school, secondary school, whichever you want to call it, you go to college. Once they understand that at each level there's some things that are going to happen to you, there's some things that you're going to be faced with in life that you need to overcome, that you need to go through, because we're having these younger ones think that life is going to be a bed of roses without thorns, and roses do come with thorns. You have you told them that roses do come with thorns? And with this with these different levels and processes, we have to understand that there are some things in the background in your life that are not going to be going straight. There's some things that you will do that you will be ashamed of. We're not pushing you into that corner, but we're presetting your expectation of everything being all good, and knowing, letting you know, well, there is going to be some bad in between. There's going to be some people that will come up against you that you need to be aware of. They will come dressed nice. They will come dressed with makeup. They will come dressed in suits. They will come dressed as the greatest business deal that you've ever laid your eyes upon. They will come dressed with the bestest friend that you can ever have. They will come dressed like that. But your key here is to be resilient. Resilient means consistent and strong, and stick in the process. All right. There are some programs basically that MMI have introduced over the start of 2020. One is our kids book club, which we will have a series of kids books in there. The first one, as mentioned, will be Why You Matter, a kids empowerment edition. You can be 18 or 21. You can read it as well. It does have some experiences from those ages as well. It's not a bit too advanced because there are some persons that have already been through the toil. You've been in foster care, you've been in other people's homes who are not your original parents. You would have been through some stuff, and this is just to basically encourage you that during the process you will go through some things, but anything that you find is basically out of character, does not stand by your belief, then you challenge it as an individual. Your age does not define you challenging something that is basically wrong, something that is considered as abuse, domestic abuse, violence against you, harassment against you, whether it be in a workplace, a school, art theater, whether it be that. It does not define, your age does not define why the reason that you tell somebody, or the fact that you open up your mouth and tell somebody that something is going wrong. The stability part is in regards to the programs, and we've put together some entrepreneurship programs. As long as you have finished secondary school, you can enter into the entrepreneurship and brand management course offered under Marika Martzit. It is flexible, it is virtual, it is classroom setting. We're holding it at the location main events, also the location for Bargain Village in Barbados, Worthing, Christchurch. Virtually is basically via one of the virtual applications, whether it be Zoom, whether it be WhatsApp, whether it be one of the module, whether it be one of the teaching applications that will be there. We will accommodate you. However, there is a fee in regards to the brand management and entrepreneurship course. You can contact us for the details. Send us your name, email address, and your set interests. And when you are willing to sign up, is a flexible 7-week, 4 hours a week course. It can be 4 hours on Saturday, or it can be twice a week, 2 hours per week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Now, if you're unable to come Tuesdays and Thursdays, then that's where the Saturday comes in. The other program basically would be in terms of one-on-one coaching as a person, to basically help you in terms of personal development. If you're looking in terms of work as well, then we also have some sales associate positions with Marika Martsit, as well as other brands as well that we affiliate with that would need interns. Some internships are paid, some are not. Now, in terms of soliciting services, this is not a way, but just to let you know the programs and stability foundations that we are having lined up when it comes to Marika Martsit at this time. Marika Speaks basically is a standalone platform which reports news, hosts different talks over different issues all over the world. If you do want to submit your comments to be published on the page, it can be done at marika246@gmail.com. It's MAREKA 246@gmail.com. Now, in terms of community outreach, there will be a series of books and programs that will be done in terms of children. And I always tell people that it's from an age of newborn, from birth until adult age. I think that by 21, you should have the tools to go out there and set your foot on a venture that is successful. What I find is the holdback is funding. A lot of organizations are against funding individuals of certain age groups and persons of different class in society, persons of different backgrounds, depending on where you come from. Because my background basically is from an area of British Hill, St. Michael, basically come from a single parent home as well, which didn't set my pace as a single parent. What set my pace is the society, the mentality of the society that would have been induced into my home as a traditional state, a traditional concept within my home, where it is as soon as you're finished school, go look for a job, hold all these bills. That in itself did not give room for me as an individual and my other siblings to save or to gain a footing financially that we can say, well, our first thing will be a car so we can get around. The next thing will be an apartment, a house. It really didn't set the pace. So what I would say in terms of community outreach is that we're going to put together some programs for community outreach. Our first two is the Kids Club on Facebook, Why You Matter Kids Club, Marika Martsit Kids Club, and our brand management course. This brand management course is different, and it creates and sets the epitome, the foundation for a lot of entrepreneurs that are looking for a way out. I'm seeing a lot of persons enrolling in entrepreneurship organizations who have had funding from big establishments and are thriving monetarily due to the investment, but not thriving as a way to sort out society. Because look, we're still having breakouts of violence, and because a lot of persons are afraid to go out into these communities and address issues with these young men who are strapped with guns, these young men who are strapped with artillery, these young men who are strapped with cutlery. They could be chefs from what they have in their possession. How do you know? You want to know? How do I know? Because I've grown up in a sheltered single parent home, not well off, but sheltered and taken care of by my mother. But on the flip side of that, when I was held back by my mother, a traditional mindset where it's like, no, you aren't going away. As soon as you finish school, go work. I was pushed into that society, the ghetto, for lack of a better word, society. And I rubbed shoulders and became friends with a lot of persons that people would look down on. And I realized that a lot of them are talented, a lot of them want more, but they're looked down on due to where they came from. You come from Nelson Street, as some people would know it. If you come from some area in St. George, if you come from Britain's Hill, if you come from Backway Alley, if you come from St. John, you two country, if you come from this place, if you didn't went to this particular school, you're no one. We have to take the stigma off of these type of things. And I think that the way of doing that is funny, is in the common entrance exam being removed, because then whatever they put in place sets the tone for that stigma to be removed. A lot of persons are against it, but I find that the change that we regress from, the change that we run from, is the change that we need. And sometimes change hurts, sometimes change is a very uncomfortable, and all the times I could say change is uncomfortable. While we wait on change, while we wait, a lot of people are just waiting. The government in place as it relates to Barbados is actively doing stuff. Some may be doing stuff more on their end for them, some others may be actually doing for doing. And that is no, by the way, in terms of verbatim of me knowing what exactly they're doing. But what I see is an administration that is trying basically to outfit the country in a way where that it sets the tone. Even if it's not the full process, it sets the tone. And what we here on Motivation Critics want to motivate you and let you know that we aim also to set the tone, not only locally in Barbados, not only as airing on Cara Voice Radio Atlanta, but we want to set the tone globally. Contact us if you really want to set your tone via our brand management and entrepreneurship course. We also are affiliated with our sponsor Elevate Entrepreneur, who is based in Atlanta and New York as well. Contact us. My number is 1246-239-4932, 1246-239-4932, and my email is marika246@gmail.com. Now we've run out of time for the show now that would have been aired, but keep it locked. Bring your life into focus. But if these community outreach programs that you're seeing launch, it is no gimmick, it is no joke. We actually are trying to save the next generations. Not generation is not one, it's more than one. Babies born every day. So thanks again for joining us for another episode of Motivation Critics. Look forward to more from us. See you guys later.